Mic check. Man. This shit is driving me nuts, bro. There's no reason that went mute. Absolutely no reason that went mute. Son of a bitch. All right. So, what's up, party people? How's it going? XSplit pushed an update at me, and it made that the way it works with, what do we use, like Zaz or something like that for the countdown timer. Snaz. Sorry, Snaz creators. It just made it appear real funky, and there's no font size settings at all. So, what team is that? What team is that? Denver Broncos, baby. So, yeah. All right. So let's get this party started. We'll close that for now. Don't need that open, so don't need that open. All right. Yeah, so here we go. Okay, so let's talk about state of the game updates. We got the contracts working. Just need them signed now. Both sides like what's in the contract, like the terms of the contract, and it leaves it open to be able to potentially merge the two companies together later on down the road. So it's actually a very beneficial contract for everybody involved. As far as, I'm sorry, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, we've been talking to level designers, a team of level designers who are actually really good. I'm not going to mention who they are yet until we have that contract signed, and then I'll blast you guys with their information. I'll give them a lot of love and let you guys know what's going on with that. But so we've been talking to them. I don't know, it's been about a month or so. It takes a little bit of time to build up rapport, to get to know people, to talk through all of the talking points involved with negotiating terms. And this stuff is very tricky, and I'm very, very cautious when it comes to legalities. Very cautious. I know sometimes I don't sound like I understand legalese very well, but I promise you, when it comes to contracts and legal, basically anything, I'm really, really top flight up on that level. So these individuals, very good at what they do, absolutely love what they've done, and we're going to be showcasing some of their work. They did a demo build of one of our locations in the world, and I mean, it was done in about a week, and we're talking an entire section of the game map done in a week. It was very impressive. They knew what the hell they were talking about. He tried to teach me a lot of stuff, and I just had to tell him, dude, look, I got other stuff I got to do. We're not going to sit here and go over a class every time. But his team and David over there, I'm real excited about what's going on. We approved of the contract, so I'm going to send it over to him. He's going to get it signed. He's going to send it back. I'm going to sign, and then we'll be able to talk about everything and get moving forward on creating the world space. So that's really exciting. We will be opening up some of that world space to some people, especially those of you who've been here from the very beginning, as we have it available to us, as we move into these new spaces. As we add combat elements, you'll be able to see them get incorporated into the game, all that stuff. So we're moving into the phase where we're going to have a game for people to start walking around in very soon here. So, and Steel Deal, yes, Steel Deal is actually the one that met them, so he can, yeah, it's pretty badass motherfuckers. Patreon update. I mean, there's not really much to update about Patreon. I think that's an old thing. I just need to get rid of that as far as the notes go. But Patreon's still out there, still live, still kicking. I think it's $158 or something like that that we are receiving every month to help with the flow and the cost of producing the game on the level that we're producing it right now. So we're rolling with that. Let's move on into what we're here for, right? So IR33 review. So there are two major things that came out with this IR. And again, we're done with all of our major systems. Everything from this point on is really player fun stuff. So let's start with the player instrumentation, because there's a lot more to the Ranger than typical classes, because it's a pet type class. So player instrumentation. This was actually something Steel Deal and a couple other people had kind of brought up from time to time. Actually, I don't know if Steel Deal brought this up. I think somebody else had brought it up, and Steel Deal saw the player instrumentation and mentioned that it reminded him of another game. And so what we did was, somebody I think it was Crave, might have been Adora. I'm not really sure who it was. Way at the beginning. All this stuff was decided on way in the very beginning. They wanted, or they had played Lotro, Lord of the Rings Online, and in that, I guess players have this insane amount of instrumentation they can go to, and it's a lot more than just, you know, slash flute space 1 or something like that. They can actually decide, you know, what chords they've got, and there's limitations on it, but what chords they can play and what notes and all that stuff. So we wanted to do something similar, and there's tons and tons of software out there that we can easily start with and build this. It's the reason why we went ahead and left it in the build. But we wanted to go a little further and give people basically a full-scale instrumentation process. And this one right here is absolutely aimed more towards role players, right? This is a huge role play element. Something, you know, you'll see role players scattered throughout the towns and cities and stuff, just kind of playing songs, or as a group playing covers of you know, whatever popular song might be out there, or Bad from Michael Jackson or something like that. So when we were building this, we tried to envision a world and how it would get used and what people would do with it. And it brings a lot of noise to the game space. So we also decided to go along with it that players should be able to mute other players who are performing, who are playing these instruments. And we've got a few different ways that that's set up. So the instrument itself will go upon a typical 8-scale, I don't remember what the hell they're called. It's been a while since I studied music itself, so I'm not up to speed on all the terminology anymore. I think it's in here. The game will establish the baseline scale as a C major, and players will be able to set each note in that scale to a desired key, as well as setting octave control to other keys. So you'll have 8 octaves, 7 notes in each. I don't know if we're going to be doing flats and sharps. That might get a little complicated, but we'll see what we get when we get it. So yes, Steel, absolutely. So one of the things that sold me was actually somebody, God, I can't remember who the hell it was. They had sent me images, or videos rather, of this group of people who played Lotro, who used to do covers all the time, utilizing this system. So, does this cover? So I don't think this covers. Let's see. Yeah, it does. Okay, so players can choose to freehand music, so they can play. You set your keyboard up. There's plenty of keys, plenty of capability to treat it like a keyboard. And for those of you in music, it's just a MIDI controller piano is what we call a keyboard. So you'll be able to set that up. Now that I say it, man, we're probably gonna have to have the capability for people to plug in a MIDI controller. We'll get to that later. That's a whole nother discussion. So, oh my goodness, I don't even want to think about that right now. But you can freehand the music. So if you've practiced and you feel confident in your timing and all that stuff, or you can pre-record up to 10 individual songs, which you still have to have the timing down. You're not going to be able to go in and manipulate this as though this was music software. You would just set up, a simple record function in the UI, and then, maybe it's the F9 key records music, and then you play the music, and then hit F9 to end recording, and then you get to play back and whatnot. But so you get the opportunity to freehand, or for people that want to do like music videos or rock concerts, like Steele's saying, they might prefer to do some pre-recorded and some freehand based on what they feel comfortable with. So yeah, so that's basically everything for player instrumentation. And this is something we've been sitting on for a long time. Hell, we hadn't even looked at it for almost a year now. Yeah, almost a year now. So I think Adora might have even forgot that we had this set up in the game. So all right, so let's go over to our next piece, the Ranger. So Ranger is, I don't know if this is, we're actually going to get this lightened up a touch. because there is a pet right here, but it's really dark. On small devices, really hard to see. On my computer, I can barely see it. And I don't know if it's because I've got the light going right here and it's the contrast is screwing it up for me, but that Steel, so Steel asks, could the number of pre-recorded tracks eventually increase over time, or is 10 the max? Right now, it's set at 10. If there's a demand for increase, guess what happens? Increase. So, it's not anything that would disrupt gameplay or anything. The code will already be there. You would just establish a new set of parameters. And with something like this, there aren't that many players that are actually going to be utilizing this, so we don't have to worry about the reality of 10 per character taking up all that server space. It's really more like a slot increase of an additional 10 on maybe 10% of the population might use it. So it's when you consider how much damage it will never do, it's a simple adjustment. So player demand should always guide things like that. So this is our Ranger. Ranger is, I think this is the third pet class that we released. I'd have to actually go look, but I'm not sure. I'm not going to look. It'll take too much time. So this is another one of our pet classes. This is a high DPS class. Okay, when I say high DPS class, I mean high DPS class. I'm pulling up the matrix here. I should just have the matrix opened up at this point when I'm talking about classes. So the Ranger is 16. Where you at, Ranger? There you are. 16 and 4. So 16 points weighted into DPS and 4 into CC, and that's self CC as you see right here. That says support. That should be CC. It's not support. I apologize. We'll get that changed. Self CC. That don't make no sense. So it's just CC, and the elements that we liked a lot were the CC effects, the debuffs that you get with the Ranger class. We wanted the Ranger was really the first DPS or pet class, that we had considered in this regard, and we wanted it to be a high level of interaction between a pet. Okay, with the Necromancer, you've got a majority of your DPS actually comes from the pets, and your main responsibility is to control the pets, keep them out of damage, stuff like that, and to have the correct pets out there attacking the correct targets. And that's the majority of the Necromancer's task, okay, which it should be. And that's how the Necromancer should be. Their focus should be on controlling the dead, not trying to deal as much damage in the fight as possible, but instead putting the controlled dead in a position to deal sufficient amount of damage. Whereas the Ranger, now this is a little different. The Ranger survives off the land and uses a companion, and with the Ranger and the pet, it's a lot more like a shared relationship in this regard, as opposed to the Necromancer, where it's just enslavement and you will do what the fuck I say. With the Ranger, there's a lot more camaraderie that goes on between the two. So we wanted that to be displayed in combat as well. So with the Ranger, what we wound up doing was creating attacks where the Ranger sets up attacks for the pet. Quick Strike allows the next attack for the pet to be a crit, so you can prep and you can control your pet's attacks, or you can allow the pet to go for its attack. But with the setup, it was, you got a big pet attack coming up next. You would use this Quick Strike. It wouldn't cost nearly as much momentum as some other things, but it would allow that pet to gain some advantages in that next major attack. So, it would be a critical strike. It might have a bleeding effect on it, or some type of drain effect on it, or maybe even have something that would allow the pet to heal itself. So there's a lot of potential there. We haven't decided exactly whether or not those things will change based on the pet or based on the enemy type or what may be. Combat will tell us, and we will adjust so that it works the way it should work. Another great one is precise strikes. So this is, the Ranger would trigger this, and it would put a buff on the Ranger and the pet. And what happened is the Ranger attacks, and then the pet gets a bonus. So the pet would attack, and the Ranger gets a bonus. So the Ranger would attack again, and back and forth, and they're increasing their bonus as long as they maintain that type of back and forth combo going on up until Precise Strikes wears off, and you've got a ton of damage output by the time this effect wears off. Your Ranger and your pet, you know, you're talking about a potential 10% damage bonus increase per strike by the time Precise Strikes wears off. So we wanted that to absolutely be how players played the Ranger DPS as opposed to the Necromancer DPS. So you got two DPS pet classes, but they play completely different. One focuses on the pet. The other one focuses on working with the pet on the same target in order to enhance their capabilities to the highest potential. So aspect of the wild. This is another example. So this is a non-momentum ability. It's minor camouflage. I don't know why the word minor's in there. It's a camouflage and run speed bonus if the Ranger doesn't have a pet. But if there's a pet, then it's based on what the pet is. And we haven't outlined all of the bonuses. Obviously, there's plenty of time to go through all the abilities and figure out how every single one's going to work on what level based on what you've got out there. But we've got a pretty good idea of a lot of the different bonuses. So Ranger pet class specifics. Words are hard today. Right here, we list the command sequence here. So as I said, you can set the Ranger up or the pet up to perform specific attacks. So if you know, right, the pet has a set attack coming up that is coming off cooldown, you can have that attack set as do not use unless I tell you. So then you would use Quick Strike, right? So you've got if Ranger uses Quick Strike, you would just put that right there. Instead of blank shot, it would say Quick Strike on target. Then cast, whatever the pet's. This says Quick Strike. We're just giving example names. So let's say the pet's ability name is Pummel Blow or some shit like that. It would cast Pummel Blow. So anytime the Ranger used Quick Strike, the pet would follow up with its biggest attack. So you would use this type of system. Okay, so you would use this type of system to build a scenario where the Ranger could go into the fight understanding what attacks are going to cause the pet to do what attacks and how they would build off of each other and how to go about increasing your DPS to a very high level. So again, Ranger is a 16 DPS. There is a ton of DPS potential in this entire setup. So the Ranger, I believe, is the only pet class that only has one type of pet. Okay, let me clarify that for you real quick. The types of pets are temporary, swarm, and permanent. Okay. As far as how many pets the Ranger can go out and acquire, we have not determined that yet. All bestial type pets. So that's actually something I need to add to this too. That should be. Oh yeah, okay, there it is. So pet creature type is all bestial, non-sentient. So basically, if the creature can build a fucking business, it's considered a type of sentient creature. So Rangers only have permanent pets, but they do a lot of damage with the permanent pets. And those permanent pets can benefit from buffs from Templars. Templar? No. Tempest, sorry. From the Tempest, as far as because the Tempest does elemental buffs on melee damage and whatnot. So, all right, obtaining pets. Obtaining pets for each class was probably one of the most fun things that I've ever designed. And these will be adjusted, obviously, a little bit as we go through and play and find, oh, well, this doesn't really work out the way we want it to work. But we feel that this is set up in a really solid path that as long as we have talented coders, we can make all of this work. So Rangers will set up a series, we'll gather pets by performing a series of tasks. The first is the study phase. So the Rangers will go out and study piles of shit. This is something Crave really wanted, right? Leftover carcasses and other markings left behind, like claws in trees or footprints or whatever, left behind that only show up for Rangers to be able to study. So if you're an invoker, a necromancer or something, you're going to see these things, like you'll see the footprint on the ground, but it won't be interactable. You're not going to see a marking for you to actually go and interact with it. A ranger, if they see a footprint, it'll say study footprint, or study pile of shit, or something like that. And you didn't miss anything too good, I guess. Nah, you missed all the goods, man. No, so the ranger would study that pile of shit, right? It's warm, it must be close by. And then they would continue to study other elements until they get enough information to understand what it is that they're going after. By studying these items, the ranger now goes into kind of a gathering phase, okay? And rangers can tell a lot about their prey the more they study the things. Piles of shit that they leave behind tells them a lot about what they like to eat, right? The footprints will tell them the pack size and how they travel and stuff like that. You've got leftover fur or markings in a tree will tell you about their aggressive nature, or what they hunt, or how they go about defending themselves. There's a lot of information you can obtain as somebody who's very skilled in this type of stuff from studying these elements. So the ranger's job is to study these to try to understand as much as they can from those during that phase. Once they do, they go into a gathering phase. So the gathering phase is where the ranger will actually go and gather food. So as during the gathering phase, rangers will use information they've obtained from studying the creatures to gather food. Because what better way to get something to trust you than to offer it food? And this is true in real life too. So probably the best part of the ranger's eggs. So the ranger goes out and gathers food. And again, remember, the ranger learned about what food the animal likes from the shit that he studied. So once you've got enough food, you can actually start interacting with these creatures more than just attacking them. Now keep in mind, these would be creatures that you can attack out in the wild, right? Your groups are probably going to wind up fighting these creatures quite a bit. For the most part, most of these creatures, because they're not sentient, don't really have natural aggression settings for you. So each one's either going to be aggressive or is really not going to be aggressive. So the ranger will require different types of food based on that natural setting, that natural faction setting with those creature types. So once they've collected enough, move on to the bonding phase. The ranger, unlike other players, will be able to use the food to lure the creature in to build a trusting bond. Now, the creatures, the bonding phase is going to be a little rough. The first couple times you do it, the creature get close, and if it's an aggressive type, it may attack you. If it's not aggressive type, it may run away. So it's going to take, this is why you need to gather a lot of food, because it's going to take a few times until you can get one of these creatures to come all the way up to check out what's going on, smell you a little bit, maybe even eat the food out of your hand, and then all of a sudden you got a little bit of a bond going. You got a little bit of a working relationship that you can work off. And you might have to do this multiple times before that creature kind of starts following you around and checking out what you're doing, where you can move on into the training phase, which is the final phase of creating a pet. So once you've created that trust bond, you'll perform a training phase sequence where you fight alongside a creature until it runs away. Again, most of these creatures aren't naturally aggressive, and even the ones that are, when it's fighting something and as it gets more and more nervous, now sees you as a potential target, most predators do not put themselves into a position to lose functionality of limbs or eyesight or whatever the case may be, because survival of the fittest very specifically means that if I have my entire body working, I'm more fit than another predator that's missing an arm. My chances of survival are higher than theirs. And this plays into the game. That psychological, that scientific aspect plays into the game as well. So there's going to be, you're going to bond with this creature a few times. You're going to go into a training phase. Creature will run away or maybe even turn and attack you. And then you'll go back to the bonding phase and start over until you get to the point where the creature and the ranger have performed one or two fights where they've been there the whole fight and both have been attacking. And then at that point, you've earned that creature's trust, and now you've got a pet. And now you need to start training to enhance your capabilities with the pet. But you can now summon that pet at any point in time. So unlike most games, MMOs or otherwise, we wanted the pet building process to be a lot more involved for pet classes than just going and performing a 5-minute quest to get an egg that automatically grows up to a full grown velociraptor or some shit. We wanted it to be a lot more involved. So the Ranger was actually the first one we set up, and it was really fun to sit there and figure out how to go about it. So that's a great question. That's something we have to consider. Do we want to phase players out of being able to attack that pet? Do we want to allow players to troll other players by attacking their pets? There's a lot of give and take on that. We really haven't decided, and honestly, it'll probably be open until we see that there's a major problem with that, and then we adjust it. And we'll go through and adjust it accordingly. Now, keep in mind, right, we're going to have GMs active in all of these zones. So if there's an issue with someone going around screwing with people, then maybe just report it and we'll take care of that piece of shit. Maybe we'll turn his punk ass into that animal and force his character to bond with the Ranger or something for a day. I don't know. We'll do something. But that's a question that we understand the concern, we understand the openness, we understand all angles of it, and we're not sure how we want to approach that yet. But we are going to remain active on it and very aggressive towards how we deal with that stuff. I mean, if we go through alpha testing and people are trolling people left and right, and we might lock it up before we even go into beta testing. So who knows if we've got this system in alpha. This system probably won't make it until beta, but. I hope that answers your question, Mist. It's probably not satisfactory because we all know how dickheadish people can be. So, all right. If anybody's got any questions about the Ranger class, about the pets, about player instrumentation, feel free to ask. Let me know. I do everything to answer everything. And if you don't want to ask here, if you want to wait on the forums, hit me up on the forums too. All right. So let's move on to the dreaded part. Lanham's rant. Somebody actually told me to start doing a YouTube video about this shit. And I ain't got the personality for that shit. So this motherfucking week, some shit happened 2 days ago. It really pissed a lot of gamers off. And I mean a lot of motherfucking gamers. Myself included. I didn't even realize it was an issue until I had started reading some reviews about the game. Some of you already know what I'm talking about. You know I don't do short recaps, Zags. After I had read some of the reviews, I thought, no way, there's no way. So I looked around, it turns out, oh shit, man, a lot of people are pissed. So I'm going to talk about overall game design decisions, okay? Some of these are absolute bullshit. So this one Crave wanted me to mention, okay? I don't really have too much of a problem with this, but it's not something we're going to utilize. NPCs that are not a part of the game world, they're just scenery. What the fuck's the point in that? And I get flooding the scene with all these NPCs to make it feel like a real busy world. But in a real busy world, you can interact with anybody. You may not, I mean, most of us choose not to, but you can still walk up to somebody and piss them the hell off or something. All of our NPCs are going to have a point, have a purpose. It's just, honestly, if we want to fill our game world up, we'll create a really good game and a lot of people will play it. You'll see a lot of freaking people in the cities. Real people, PC type people. So, releasing a partial, this is huge for a lot of people. Releasing a partial game and then dumping DLCs every 6 months. So, honestly, overall poor game design decisions. And that's something that's kind of become the norm in the fucking industry. Actually, it's become such a norm that one of the critiques we get, and we don't get many critiques, okay? A lot of people, nobody's shitting on the design of our game, except for to say, it's a little too ambitious. Listen here, motherfuckers. One, this is an MMO. It's fucking ambitious as shit. It's supposed to be huge as shit. Massive. It's supposed to have enough to entertain you for at least a year. At least a year. So, yeah, it's going to be a little fucking big. It makes no sense that the argument is, your MMO needs to be smaller and needs to entertain me less so that I pay the same value as I pay for any other MMO for it, or a classic MMO that was a lot bigger, and then you just throw shit at me to force me to pay. Or the free-to-players who want massive, massive worlds and all of it free, because fuck my developers. I just got to pay them out of my damn pocket or some shit. Man, so... yeah, no, we ain't fucking with that. And if that's a critique, honestly, every time somebody critiques us with that, I smile. Because it means we're doing our damn job. If anybody thought this game was going to get made in 2 to 3 years, 3 to 4 years, without any heartache and any hardship, you done lost your mind. Oh, Zags, that one. And that seems to be the norm, right? DLC data that's already a part of the coding. So I already know... that should have been a part of the game, and then they launch it and sell it for $40 3 months later. No, seriously. Here's the one that happened this week. This was, Tuesday the game launched? What's today? Friday. So Tuesday, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Tuesday the game launched. You already know what I'm talking about, and I'm not going to name the game because I don't know if they dare come over here. I don't know. It's a critique, so I guess they can't. I don't know. Whatever. Microtransactions in a full fucking box price single player game. And before somebody says, "Oh, but it was for their multiplayer mode." So, if it was for their multiplayer mode, why was it enabled in their single player mode? Nah, bro. You ain't selling me on that shit. Oh, well, you didn't have to participate in it. That's exactly how they get your punk ass. Because you become so accustomed to seeing it, oh, but I don't have to. And then, bam, one day, now you have to. Now you can't do shit without participating in that microtransaction box. Nah, man. No. If you don't have to participate in it, get it. Why the fuck is it in the game? Why is it in a single player game on top of that? That makes no sense. You ruin an entire franchise doing that. You just murdered a franchise. More than 50% of people who bought that bitch on Steam have tried to return it. And some of them, they already got that 2 hours in, so they couldn't return it. But less than 24 hours later, this highly anticipated single player, okay, had mixed reviews. Now, for those of you that aren't aware, on Steam, mixed is a really bad word. Really bad word for your reviews. And it typically opens Steam up to stay to the user base, which I love this part for Steam, all right? Typically opens Steam up to say, look, if you purchase this game, you can return it. We'll take care of you because it lied to you, because it BS'd you and fucked you over. And they typically take returns even though you're past that 2 hour period or they've got a couple other criteria in there. This particular game, man, they knew it was dirty from the start. How the fuck you know that, Lanham? Have you seen any review prior to this game launching that even remotely mentions it? No. Do you really sit here and you're telling me that they didn't know this was going to be a problem, that people weren't going to backlash on this? Are you really telling me that people that spend millions in marketing don't understand these elements? You out of your mind. You don't know shit about the gaming industry if you believe that shit. Straight up, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Don't even bother with this damn game because we're going to blow your fucking mind, okay? This was utter bullshit. This was complete and absolute bullshit. You had a game, I think it was third in the series, maybe fourth in the series, right? Where people have been talking about this game for, 5-6 years now? How much they loved the other one, the one right before this. How much they were waiting for the new release. And as gamers talk and the market grows to 120, 130 million gamers, more and more gamers are going to hear it. As gamers talk, gamers start anticipating. They start saying, oh, my boy been enjoying this game. I'm not going to pick up the old ones, but I pick up the brand new one. That's what happened to Skyrim. Everybody jumped on the Skyrim bandwagon because Morrowind had so much love and Oblivion got a lot of love, and then Skyrim blew the hell up, and all they had to do was say dragons. You think marketing on Skyrim did that? Hell no. Gamers did that shit. So here you have gamers talking about the amazingness of this game all over the place, on every aspect you can get. And then it releases, and the first thing that happens is people realize I paid an additional $30 for the bonus package stuff, and I can only use half of it on one character. That's a pretty big slap in the face. Zags, you got it. So, I'm sorry, I got distracted. It's just, nah, man, you full of shit. You absolutely, and this is what the developers have done. And you get gamers out there who say, well, I'm just not going to buy the product. And immediately those gamers, right, are met with, or used to be met with, well, how are they supposed to try again? What do you mean how are they supposed to try again? That's their issue. That's not ours. I mean, if that was the case, why aren't those people over here on Sacrament or any other indie development studio saying, well, if you don't fund them, how are they supposed to show us the game that they're going to build? That don't make no damn sense. We don't want attention and love because we're an indie studio or because we want to show you that we can build a game. Fuck that noise. We understand how this works, okay? If you are one of the motherfuckers who say, oh, nah, we can't just stop buying video games, the whole industry will collapse. You don't understand capitalism, and you don't understand the history of this gaming environment. You really don't. Because in 1983, this motherfucker almost collapsed. Here you go, real quick lesson. 1983 to 1985, this industry almost collapsed. It went from 3.6 billion or something like that for the previous 3 years up until 83 to 100 million in 1983, 84, and then 85, Nintendo saved the industry. And I'm not trying to suck Nintendo's dick or nothing. I'm being straight up. Nintendo's console saved the fucking industry. And what was happening? What was taking place? Why did the video game market collapse? Well, let me fucking tell you. Hold on. Shadow, get the hell out of here. My dog eat my damn... I got a cat that got special food needs. Like, can't break down proteins, so we have to get him this Zeta Delta build food. And she comes in here and eats that shit all the time like her fat ass don't get fed 3 damn times a day and shit. Well, she gets fed twice, but she eats people food all the damn time too. Oh, fat ass hoe. Man, motherfuckers. And that food's expensive. Anyway, all right, so back. So what happened? Why the game economy almost crashed? Well, I'll tell you why. Because of this bullshit. Because they kept pushing gamers lower quality games and more money pulling out of your fucking wallet. Because the publishers and developers kept treating gamers like a bunch of stupid ass idiots who sat in a fucking room, a bunch of losers, had no fucking value in life, and all they were was pocket change. I'ma just reach my hand in your wallet and pull money out. Every time I release a shitty title, I'm just gonna because you're gonna keep buying, so why the fuck? Why do I care? And that's what the market looks like now. Especially the single player and MMORPG market. Are there other markets? Yeah, I guess. The battle arena market's pretty good, right? I mean, I'm not a huge battle arena fan, so I can't really gauge that market. I'm not that into that shit. But people keep responding to it, so I don't really know if that was bad. The fucking card game market's on damn point. I mean, it's the same exact card games over and over again, but it's still quality card games. It's not shit. There's a couple of new style of card games out there that are pretty cool, pretty strategic, and take some thought process. So you got the MMORPG market and the single player market where you have, 100 companies building video games in each, or sub companies rather, because a lot of these belong to the same parent company, okay? Don't get lied to. But you got about 100 different companies building different video games, and maybe 3 or 4 of them are worth any mention. And then you got another 3 or 4 that are honorable mention. They might pull it off next time. This game wasn't bad. It was niche, but next time they'll figure it out kind of thing. That's 8. That's a total of 8 out of 100. That's 8% of the market gives a fuck about you or has the ability to provide quality. Honestly, I ain't buying this fucking game. I don't care if they fix it. I ain't buying this fucking game. And I'm going to tell you what. If you value yourself and other gamers and your value of entertainment you'll stop buying this shit. You will absolutely stop buying into this garbage because they're going to continue to shove stupid shit down your throat and act like you have no fucking say in it. But you do, because money talks. Money talks volumes. Money is the only voice you have as a consumer. So if you don't mind the microtransactions in a single player game, and they will become necessary if you allow them, keep playing. Keep paying $60 for the damn box price, and then you might as well have had a freaking pay-to-play game because you still going to wind up with mandatory microtransactions just on a first playthrough. Just on a first playthrough. No matter how good you are, no matter how skilled you are, they will make it so it is impossible for you to not utilize. You don't believe me? Go check out the free-to-play market. Those microtransactions started out as optional items. They ain't optional no more. Good luck. Good fucking luck. Oh, I guess I'll throw the name. I didn't want to. Fuck it. There's not really much they can do. I'm allowed to critique whoever the fuck I want. Deus Ex. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've heard it like 5 different ways, so we'll just go with Deus Ex because that's how they pronounce it in their commercial. So, with their cash shop in their fucking game, it's, man, it really is a heartbreak. Honestly, it's kind of a heartbreak. I had a lot of excitement for this game coming out too, man. I was like a little kid in a little nerd factory. You know, this is gonna get me to Final Fantasy 15. That's a motherfucking game I'm took. Now, I ain't really mad at Final Fantasy 15. You know, if it's taking them forever because they keep having to rebuild their combat system and shit, trying to provide a high-quality game, I'm good with that, okay? I'm absolutely good with that. I don't really mind delays if it means I get a high-quality game when it's time to launch. I really don't. I know a lot of people out there, they want it fast, they want it now, but honestly, if you're talking about crafting something that's going to be perfect, it takes time, man, a lot of time. And when you're like Final Fantasy's setup, them developers, the game designers, they're running out of designs for their games. That's why Skyrim Elder Scrolls series, it doesn't change that much from game to game. They add in new adaptations and evolutions of certain systems, but if you go from game to game, the major update is the graphics. And that's not a design thing. That's just capability, right? The hardware allows you to build better graphics engines. But their systems are... Skyrim's had the same combat system forever. The point and click kind of thing. You build your skills up. Now, Oblivion's leveling system was shit, and they evolved the fuck away from that, which was nice. But, you know, they're slowly evolving small elements here and there. They're not trying to recreate an entire game design every time. Final Fantasy doesn't get that luxury because every game is a different game. It's not a series of games that tell one long story arc. It's a whole new story inside of the game. So it's a little... I can understand the difference in design there and how difficult it is for them to build a brand new game every time. I mean, game design is... It's not even hit and miss, right? It's miss. Maybe you hit, miss, hit. I mean, your shit is worse than trying to swing at something in EverQuest having no skills in a blunt object. So you're gonna miss a lot more than you hit, and that's the reality of game design. That's why you got 100 companies and 8 of them produce something that's good enough to warrant praise. So yeah, all right. Anyway. I was going to say something to them specifically, but I'm not. It better be good, man. Final Fantasy had better be good. It better be real good. And No Man's Sky. So, I just want to say something about No Man's Sky real quick. I've seen mixed reviews on No Man's Sky. And I got to say, man, we as gamers, we got to be smarter about how we analyze a game. We really do. Y'all motherfuckers need to push your friends to be more intellectual about how they analyze a game, okay? Why? What the fuck are you talking about, laying them? It's just a fucking game. Well, what I mean is No Man's Sky has always sold itself as an absolute exploration, mostly sandbox. It's got that quest line in it, but even that quest line is there to guide you, to teach you, oh, fuck, I don't have to stay on this one world. I can go everywhere in this fucking galaxy, in this whole universe. I don't play the game. I watch my kids play the game. I love watching them play the game. I'm not a big sandbox kind of guy. Not a space sandbox kind of guy. But I watch my kids play this game, and I help them out with stuff and you know, give them some tips and whatnot. But the game's actually really good. And the complaints I'm constantly seeing are, it takes, you know, you have to collect things in order to survive. Well, no shit, what the fuck else you do in a sandbox? It's a fucking sandbox. Man, come on. Are you telling me that they told you it was a sandbox space survival game, and you didn't think that they were serious about the survival aspect? You gotta be, come on, man. They told you about this, and that's your complaint? So you're complaining that you didn't like the game before you touched the game. That you weren't paying attention to how they were telling you this game was gonna play, and then you decided that it was, you were going to intellectually bitch about that aspect. Come on, dude. The other thing that I saw that made me laugh was somebody complained that they didn't have, and this is only one person, he got shit on a lot, but they didn't have a cash shop feature to expand the ship size. I guess the ship size is one of the harder things to expand, and even then it only goes up to like 36 spaces. But from what I can tell, between the exosuit and the ship, 36 is more than enough. Okay, but this guy was complaining because he wanted free to play aspects. Again, in a single player. Man, what the fuck? Are you stupid? You paid full price for this game. Why? You are that 1% of idiot is why Deus Ex thought they could put a fucking cash shop in their game and nobody would flinch. Yeah. All right. I was going to look up how many returns happened and whatnot because I saw, oh my goodness, just Wednesday alone, I forgot it launched Tuesday. So Wednesday I went to go look it up, and I always do a little bit of research on games I'm unsure of. But I went and looked it up. I'll read that in a second, Zags. I went and looked it up, and the returns were already at like 10%. 10%. Now, I understand a lot of people don't realize the significance of the number 10%, okay? On a typical game, not a typical game, on a good game, a high-quality game, let's say Skyrim, okay? It was a very fun game. It was a little bit sandbox, a little bit theme park, but you were able to go out in the world and build your class the way you want to build your class. And they did it right. They did it the way MMOs still ain't fucking figured out how to do it. So that game had a 2% return rate for its entire life. That wasn't right away. That was for its entire life. Okay? And that was probably like moms who didn't realize how complex the game was going to be. Because, you know, they heard about the game from a bunch of people raving about it and how amazing they thought it was. And so that mom went and bought it for their kid, and their kid couldn't figure it out because their kid's like fucking 6 years old and has no idea how to actually game and plays Mario Kart all the time or COD and thinks he's a fucking gamer. And mom thinks he's a gamer, and so she returned the game because I can't even get past the first city because he didn't know there was a fucking difficulty setting switch. So, you know, a lot of those, even that 2%, a lot of those came from situations similar to that. Okay, you can figure out the other types of situations. 10% in the first day is astronomical. I want to say that's never happened before, but I can't really say that because we don't get a lot of data from well before Steam existed, right? Steam allows you, I mean, it's digital gaming, so Steam allows you to return things. Back in the day, man, for those of you who used to buy your games from Toys R Us like I did as a kid, when you bought your game and took it home, the second you opened that case, it didn't matter what was wrong with that disc, you were fucked. If you didn't like the game, you had it for life. There was no taking it back, no fucking return policy. If you scratched the disc or if the disc was scratched, and the disc being scratched didn't happen that often, right? Never happened to me. But I've scratched the disc. You wasn't taking it back. There was no fucking return policy on these games. So in those, we can't say that it was, you know, the worst of all time or anything like that because we don't know. We don't have enough metrics in old school. But of current times, man, if it ain't the worst, it's pretty fucking close. I can't really think of any game that upset players the way that this one did, man. You go to Steam, for real. Go to Steam. If you don't have Steam, you can go on a website version of Steam and just look at the reviews for the game. I kid you not. Just look. They were 61% positive when I checked that out on Wednesday. So I don't know what they're at right now, if they're higher or lower or whatever. If they're higher, I can bet you any amount of money that they went and paid a whole bunch of bots to go and create positive reviews. And with that, you always check a review and look at it. If they own the game, cool. If they don't own the game, fuck their review, honestly. Zag says, I think No Man's Sky is niche, but not bad. Seriously, it's a chill out and just run your brain into thoughtlessness. It's good for what it is or without multiplayer. Plus, it has enough content to be played literally from now till the end of time, even if you do the same things over and over. Right. And it is niche. You're absolutely right. It's niche. It's one of those games where players that just want to fucking explore. And there are a lot of people that just want to go out and explore. Okay? There are people who are wholly content in that. That's really what that game is marketed towards. And those players don't really get very many games, especially not good games. So I'm not mad at No Man's Sky, man. I actually absolutely respect No Man's Sky for what they did. And I'm sure they'll be doing more updates and whatnot, and some of them will be free, and some of them may be paid. But I'm sure they're going to update it with some more stuff. Maybe, I don't know. I can't really speak for them. But seeing their Dickosaurus Rex was pretty fucking awesome. For those of you that haven't seen it, look up. I wonder if I could probably get it for you. No Man's Sky D-Rex. No. Maybe if I typed in Dickosaurus Rex. I don't know. There's, I'd have to know how to spell Dickosaurus Rex the way that we got it spelled. But there's this, this conversation out there about how you can name your new discoveries. And I kid you not, the head looks mushroomish like the tip of a dick. So it's pretty fucking good. So that is, do I have anything else? No, that's everything. Yeah. I've already bitched to Deus Ex and their publisher quite a bit. I've sent like 15 fucking messages, just mostly mocking them more than anything. Because, I mean, honestly, they could have come in here as a powerhouse company with this game and decided that instead of 60 million plus sales, that they just wanted to go with your cop out bullshit. It's pretty fucking upsetting, honestly. As a gamer, seeing that shit continue, and seeing that the majority of the fucking gaming market doesn't understand the implications of these things, and so they support them, so they continue and continue and continue, and then become wholly acceptable. It's what led to pay to win. And I will build a company that builds games in every fucking genre before I leave gaming. So, yeah. So I think that covers everything. I've got nothing else to add. Again, if you would like to volunteer a service or some time helping out, we've got all kinds of positions: programmers, creature modelers, 2D concept artists. That includes level design, 2D level design. We've got the 3D level design team coming in here. There's the volunteer button down below. Hit that bad boy and volunteer. Shit, I just realized I haven't checked it in 2 weeks. I remember to check it when I mention it. That's probably bad. I should probably set an alarm for that. I got a new phone. Man, I hate this fucking phone. I really do. I absolutely hate this new phone. It's just... Oh, shit. We do have new responses. Son of a bitch. Why will you... View responses. All right. So I have to check that out. If you're one of the people that submitted to this, I apologize. It's been a week or two. It's been a real rough couple weeks for me. My PTSD is acting up, so I'm trying to get my hands on some good kush, but being in New Hampshire, it's... Yeah. Holy crap. The last one was 7... No way did I miss this one from 7/27. I thought I checked it last week. Oh, my God. I'm bad at that. This is why I'm not assigned to checking this, okay? It's been a month since I looked at this. Oh, that's so bad. God, I apologize, man. To be fair, I've been working on that contract, so and other shit. So Though it's not really an excuse, I do apologize. All right. So, remember, we got the Patreon going down below. If you still want to wait and see what our game looks like, absolutely respect that. We will be pushing out more visual in-game content for you to enjoy soon here. We were new at it at that point, Steel Deal, so we didn't even really understand how to use that shit. Okay, that was different. This is just me slacking on some of my not jobs. So, all right. Facebook and Twitter links are down below as well. I have to read this because I can't remember this shit. So Patreon, hit it up, share it with your friends, let everybody know, talk about the game. If you really want to make a push in this industry for high quality, show the publishers and producers that you don't give a fuck what studio it comes from as long as it's a solid game design. Make them start showing you the game design before they launch the game. Seriously, this mystery shrouded bullshit, fuck that. That's bullshit. It's the only reason you do that is because you're worried people aren't going to like your game. And if you're worried people aren't going to like your game, maybe you should build a better fucking game. Simple as that. Yes, Zags. Yeah. So Zags actually sent me like message on Facebook, Twitter. I think he wound up getting a hold of one of my emails and actually sent me an email. I'm bad at this volunteer thing over here, okay? I really am. So, which is why I don't run it. So Facebook, link down below. Like our Facebook page. Twitter, follow us on Twitter. So the website, again, has a newsletter on it, and I want to apologize. This week I was supposed to release a newsletter. When I say I got PTSD issues going on, I mean it. I really do have some, like, this shit makes me not really give a fuck and not want to work. I push through as much as I can, but there are times where I just, there's things where I just say, fuck it, I don't really care. And this was one of those things, so I do apologize for that. I am working on getting my hands on some medication. Been trying to get this medical marijuana license for a minute. You got any friends? I'm not going to put it out there. Unfortunately, open use of marijuana in New Hampshire is still illegal. I don't fucking understand how the fuck marijuana can still be illegal at this point. How in the fuck it's considered a class 1 drug, but whatever. So I'm still working on that, and until I get that out, I'm probably going to be a little down because I'm also working out. This shit takes a lot of energy, and competing with that fucking thing that sits at the back of my head beating the shit out of me it's a bitch. I'm not walking away. I'm definitely not giving up. Just there's going to be some times where it's rough, which is why I love hiring people who can do certain jobs that I know I consider just when I'm in that state a job that I can just avoid. Even though I know I really can't. I know I should be sending out those newsletters. I know I should be on social media posting about things, convincing that dark part. Otherwise is not really gonna happen. So head over to the website. Jump on our. You've got the. Roger that, Zags. I always show this, but on our front page, we've got the newsletter. I do typically send shit out on this newsletter, okay? The last 2 IRs, I haven't. I slacked a lot. I didn't even do press releases for the last 2 IRs. That's how much this shit is whooping my ass right now. But we keep the company rolling because I put enough solid leaders in position where they don't need me standing over them to make decisions, do any of this stuff. So that our company can roll even when I'm having issues. So, if that's not a testament to the functionality of this company, this full fucking volunteer company, then I really don't know what is. There's forums also. Head over to the forums. Again, the forums is still open to everybody right now. Adora was going to fix that, and then she lost internet. And I kid you not, like her whole fucking neighborhood lost internet. I don't know how to set up what she wants or what we need set up, and I will blow the fucking website up. So I'm not touching it. But once she gets her internet back, she's going to set that up, and we'll have that rolling. It's just a little bit of work on her end, like 10, 15 minutes of work on her end to get everything set up the way we want it set up. So, and then don't forget, every other week, Not this Friday, but next Friday and every other Friday after that, we have the roundup that goes live on Facebook, YouTube. You can either go directly to our YouTube account, which is down on the bottom as well. I don't have my thing open. I'm pretty sure it's down. I think I ask this like every week, and it's down there every damn week. So, but it's down there in the clickables down below. You can go to our YouTube account and subscribe, or you can wait until it hits. We have Hootsuite pushes out. Our team that pushes it to YouTube also goes and sets it up on. I think it's Steel Deal actually that sets it up for YouTube, but they set it up for me. So that's not something I do, which means it gets taken care of every week because those guys rock, and they this volunteer team fucking rocks. I'll tell you what, I don't really care too much about what people want to say about a company not having any capital. This fucking team we've got right here is legit, and it's because we build a solid team with solid people, and we'll get this motherfucking made. Don't you fucking worry about that. If I gotta make 100,000 different fucking deals with smaller companies and get different bits and pieces created, then we'll fucking do it. So, all right, yeah. So that's it. So if you have any questions, again, I appreciate that, Zags. I will be, you post them on the forums. Head over to Facebook. I'm always on Facebook, and I get notifications when somebody posts something to the page or posts a message to the page. I don't check Twitter much. Again, and there's not really much reason for me to actually be on Twitter. I can't monitor that account from my own Twitter account, and I don't even like my fucking Twitter account. So, yeah. So, as you can tell, I talk a lot. Twitter's not for me. 146 characters. I don't know how some people do it. I really don't. All right. Love you guys. Have fun. Game the fuck on.